You ever feel like your brain has a hamster wheel and that hamster is just going for it 24/7? Just an endless loop of what ifs? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the surprisingly addictive side of overthinking and talk about a new way to finally hit the brakes. All right, let's just get right into it. I want you to just listen for a second. Do any of these thoughts ring a bell? First up, there's this one. You know that feeling when the to-do list just keeps getting longer, the pressure's on, and this little voice just pops into your head like, are you sure you can do this? All of this? And right on the heels of that one, you've got its best friend, the big one. The fear of totally messing up. A fear so powerful it can stop you dead in your tracks before you even start. And then we get to the one that's usually sitting at the very heart of this whole spiral. It's that quiet, nagging doubt about your own worth. The one that basically fuels all the others. So, if any of that sounded familiar, you are in very, very good company. According to the work of addiction counselor Steve Rose, who we're diving into today, these what-if spirals are usually a mix of three key things: a situation you can't predict, a belief it's going to end in disaster, and this deep feeling that you're just not equipped to handle it. Now, this is a really crucial distinction to make. We tend to think that just thinking more is the solution, but there's a huge difference. Overthinking is like being in a locked room. It's a closed loop, it's fueled by fear, and it gets you nowhere. But critical thinking, that's totally different. It's open, it's driven by curiosity, it's the key that unlocks the door. And this brings us to a really surprising way to reframe this whole thing. What if overthinking isn't just a bad habit you need to break? What if we started looking at it as a behavioral addiction? Check out this definition of addiction, because this is key. Continued behavior despite adverse consequences. And this part, creating an illusion of control. Wow, doesn't that just perfectly describe worrying? It feels like we're doing something, like we're preparing or problem solving. But in reality, all we're doing is digging that anxiety pit a little bit deeper. So why? Why on earth does our brain fall for this trick over and over again? Well, the work of Dr. Judson Brewer gives us a pretty incredible explanation. He shows us exactly how our brains get hooked on the habit of worry itself. Dr. Brewer says to think of it like playing a slot machine. It's all about random rewards. So picture this. 1, you start worrying about, say, getting a new job. 2, just by pure chance, you get the job. 3, your brain, which is always looking for patterns, makes a totally false connection. It goes, hey, that worrying I did, it must have worked. And 4, bam, the habit gets locked in. Your brain now thinks worrying is a super effective tool when it actually had zero to do with the result. I absolutely love this quote from Mary Schmitz because it just nails the whole thing, right? We think we're doing this high-level, productive problem solving, but really, we're just chewing bubblegum. Okay, so let's bring this home. Let's make it personal. Here are 6 signs pulled from Dr. Rowe's work that you might actually be hooked on overthinking. Just see if any of these feel a little too familiar. First up, you use your rational mind like a drug. You plan and prep for every single possible outcome, not to actually be prepared, but to get that little hit of relief, that short-term buzz that numbs out the anxiety you're trying to avoid. It's a quick fix, for sure, but man, the long-term cost is high. Next, you're stuck in the should trap. You have this really rigid picture in your head of how things are supposed to be, and it's constantly at war with how things actually are. And ironically, by refusing to accept reality, you end up feeling even more out of control. Oof, this one is huge. The analogy used in our source material is just fantastic. It's like you're trying to drive a car, but you're only looking at one of 2 things, the GPS for where you're going or the rearview mirror for where you've been. You're totally, completely missing the actual road right in front of you. And then there's the comparison game. It all starts with that deep-seated feeling of not being enough, which kicks your mind into overdrive trying to measure up to everyone else. This can even cause you to self-sabotage, because on some level, you might not even feel like you deserve the good things that happen. This is what happens when you get so tangled up in what everyone else wants or expects from you that you completely forget to check in with yourself. You're so focused on the what, the outcome, that you totally lose your connection to your why. And finally, analysis paralysis. Now, it's really important to see this for what it is. This is not laziness. It's perfectionism and fear wearing a disguise. You overthink every little detail so much that you become too scared to actually make a move. And it's all rooted in that feeling of insecurity.
Okay, so if you were nodding along to any of that, the big question is, now what? What can you actually do about it? Let's talk about the single most important first step to breaking this whole addictive cycle.
So what's the secret? It's not to think even harder. It's not to fight with your thoughts. It's actually much simpler. It's just awareness. The second you can step back and just notice it. Ah, there I go. I'm doing the worry thing again. You break its spell. You suddenly see that illusion of control for exactly what it is, just a really unrewarding, exhausting mental habit.
So I'll leave you with this question. Instead of spiraling about all the things you absolutely cannot control, what is one small, simple thing that is in your control that you can focus on right now in this moment? Because making that tiny shift from the uncontrollable to the controllable, that might just be the most powerful move you can make.